The moment the plasma torch sputtered and sliced through the bulkhead, Marcus Penley knew things were about to get messy. He tightened his grip on the metal brace wedged under his arm, sweat prickling his forehead even in the chill of the damaged medical bay. Sparks showered over the floor as the emergency team forced the door fully open, revealing the chaos inside. A low were echoed as the ship's medic, an alien named Vetra, floated forward on its hover harness. Vetra's body shimmered in hues of blue, its translucent skin showing the pulsing organs beneath. The alien had always been a calm, methodical presence during drills, its voice soothing, its movements calculated. But drills never had this much blood. Marcus lay half slumped against the wall, his left leg twisted unnaturally. A deep gash ran down his thigh, blood pooling thickly around him. He pressed a trembling hand against the wound, trying to slow the bleeding. He raised his head when he heard Vetra glide closer, expecting the alien to leap into action. Instead, Vetra froze. Its 4 delicate eyes widened. The hover harness stuttered, dipping slightly before stabilizing. Vetra's tendrils, usually alive with movement, hung limp. It stared, unmoving, as if the sight of the blood had short-circuited its brain. Marcus clenched his jaw against the pain. His voice came out rough but steady. "Hand me the gauze." Vetra didn't move. Marcus sucked in a breath, steadying himself. He reached over to the nearby supply cabinet, flipping it open with trembling fingers. The pain made black spots dance at the edge of his vision. He grabbed a roll of gauze and slapped it onto his thigh, wrapping it as tightly as he could. The door behind them creaked as another figure stepped through. It was Commander Rix, a towering reptilian officer with silver scales and a permanent scowl. Rix glanced once at Marcus, once at Vetra, and hissed softly. "Is it incapacitated?" Rix demanded. Marcus grunted. "Yeah, looks like." Rix muttered something unintelligible and stomped toward the comm panel. As the commander barked orders into the system, Marcus focused on securing the gauze. His fingers, slick with blood, fumbled the knot. He cursed under his breath, then tried again, slower this time. Vetra finally blinked, a stuttering mechanical sound from its throat. Its trembling hand extended a small medical stapler toward Marcus. Marcus shook his head. "No, not yet. Pressure first." Vetra withdrew the stapler, its whole body quivering. It looked like it might pass out, if such a thing were possible for its species. "Marcus," Rix barked. "Medship inbound. 3 minutes. Tell them to bring a stretcher," Marcus said, leaning his head back against the wall. The next 3 minutes stretched like hours. Vetra hovered uselessly nearby, twitching every time Marcus moved. Rix paced, muttering curses and glancing at the door as if willing the med ship to arrive faster. When the medics finally burst in 2 humans and a stocky alien with thick orange skin, Marcus let out a ragged sigh of relief. They lifted him onto the stretcher with careful hands. "Femur might be broken," one of the medics said. "We'll run a scan to be sure." Marcus nodded weakly. His whole body throbbed with each heartbeat. As they wheeled him toward the shuttle bay, he caught a glimpse of Vetra still frozen in the middle of the room, alone and shaking. The med bay on the med ship was sterile and humming with quiet energy. Marcus lay on a diagnostic table while a technician ran a portable scanner over his leg. The screen lit up with a neat 3D image showing a clean break high up on the femur. "Yup," the tech said. "Broken. You'll need surgery to set it. Lucky it's a clean break." "I feel real lucky," Marcus muttered. The tech smiled sympathetically. "We'll knock you out for it. You'll be in a cast for about 6 to 8 weeks. Could be less if we use Regan therapy, but depends on how your body takes it." Marcus nodded, exhaustion pulling at him. "Do it." They prepped him quickly. The anesthetic kicked in fast, pulling him under. Marcus woke to a dull ache in his leg, a heavy cast encasing it from thigh to ankle. He blinked against the harsh lights overhead, then turned his head to see a familiar shimmer of blue beside the bed. Vetra hovered awkwardly, holding a small tray with a cup of water and a nutritional bar. It extended the tray toward Marcus with a jerky motion. "Your sustenance," Vetra said, its voice unsteady. Marcus accepted the tray and set it on the bedside table. He sipped the water, letting it soothe his dry throat before speaking. "You okay?" he asked. Vetra's tendrils twitched. "I have failed in my duties. I am not equipped to handle corporeal breaches." Marcus chuckled, then winced as the movement jarred his leg. "You froze at the sight of blood." Vetra bobbed slightly on the hover harness. "Affirmative. First time seeing it." In quantity, yes. Marcus leaned back against the pillows, studying the alien. Vetra had always been so competent, always so calm. It was strange and somehow reassuring to see it rattled. You'll get used to it, Marcus said. Or you won't. Either way, you gotta figure out how to work through it. Vetra made a low humming noise. I do not wish to fail again. Then practice, Marcus said. Simulations. Controlled exposure. Whatever works for you. Vetra was silent for a long moment. May I assist in your recovery? Marcus smiled faintly. Sure. First thing you can do is hand me that remote. I need to adjust this bed before my back locks up. Vetra carefully picked up the remote and placed it in Marcus's hand with exaggerated caution, as if fearing it might bite. Marcus adjusted the bed, groaning as he shifted into a more comfortable position. The pain was manageable now, a deep dull throb under the influence of medication. Thanks, he said. Vetra brightened slightly, its colors shifting to a softer blue. Over the next few days, Vetra became a near-constant presence. It brought Marcus meals, fetched water, adjusted pillows, and once even tried to read aloud from a human novel, though it stumbled hilariously over the idioms. Marcus, confined to bed and bored out of his mind, found the alien's efforts both touching and entertaining. One afternoon, as Marcus practiced moving from the bed to a wheelchair, Vetra hovered nearby, watching every movement with intense focus. You are progressing adequately, Vetra said. Thanks, Marcus grunted, gripping the wheels and maneuvering awkwardly toward the window. His arms shook with the effort. I have studied human recovery protocols, Vetra continued. It is extensive. Yeah, bones take time, Marcus said. No shortcuts. He stared out the window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the ship he was supposed to be serving on limped its way back to port for repairs. He was lucky to be alive. You know, Marcus said after a moment, you panicking back there? It didn't make me think less of you. Vetra tilted its head. It did not. Nope. Everybody freezes sometimes. It's what you do after that matters. Vetra absorbed that in silence. Marcus turned his chair around. Now come on. Hand me that exercise band. Doc says I need to start working my arms. Vetra zoomed forward eagerly, almost knocking over a tray in its haste. Marcus laughed, catching the band just before it hit the floor. Maybe, he thought, this partnership would work out after all. 3 days after surgery, Marcus rolled himself into the rehabilitation room, wincing as the chair bumped over the slight threshold. The space smelled faintly of antiseptic and burned ozone, a side effect of alien sterilization tech, according to the staff. The walls were a soothing green, a color allegedly proven to accelerate healing across a dozen species. Vetra was already inside, hovering near a rack of strange-looking exercise equipment designed to accommodate bodies very unlike his. Some machines had harnesses, others resembled oversized pincushions. A few Marcus couldn't begin to guess at. You are early, Vetra said, its tone almost accusing. Figured I'd beat the crowd, Marcus said, maneuvering toward a set of resistance bands anchored to the wall. Doesn't seem like anyone else is fighting to regain their range of motion. Several patients have opted for biosuspension therapy, Vetra said. It is less effortful. Marcus pulled a band loose and looped it around a sturdy metal bar. Yeah, well, human bodies don't fix themselves if you just marinate them. Vetra tilted its head. Marinate. Forget it. He started slowly, pulling the band toward his chest in controlled motions. His arms trembled from the weakness that had crept in during bed rest. Sweat broke out across his forehead after only 6 repetitions. You are straining your deltoids, Vetra observed. Perhaps a lighter resistance would be more appropriate. And maybe I should live in a padded room, Marcus said, teeth clenched. But here we are. Vetra hovered closer, inspecting the angle of his arms with a critical eye. Its tendrils twitched in tiny, thoughtful movements. You are utilizing improper form, it said. Marcus let the band snap back with a tired grunt. All right, coach. Show me how it's done. Vetra hesitated, then floated toward the band, wrapping a shimmering appendage around it. It pulled once, awkwardly, its entire frame lurching backward. Marcus laughed, the sound rough but genuine. Yeah, okay. Maybe leave the heavy lifting to me. I am calibrated for fine motor tasks, Vetra said stiffly, releasing the band. Gross physical exertion exceeds my design parameters. Marcus wiped his forehead with the hem of his shirt. Don't worry. You're still top tier at handing me water. Vetra gave a soft, warbling sound that Marcus had learned was its version of a sigh. An hour in, Marcus's arms felt like they might detach and flop onto the floor. He sagged in the chair, nodding toward the door. "Done for today," he said. Before something tears, Vetra glided ahead, pressing the door panel to open it. The hallway outside was busier than usual. Patients of various species shuffled or floated by, some accompanied by assistants. A tall insectoid clicked its mandibles in greeting as Marcus passed, and he nodded back, too winded for words. In the cafeteria, the tables were a chaotic mix of heights and designs, some built at floor level for quadrupeds, others suspended from the ceiling for those who preferred hanging upside down. Marcus wheeled himself to a standard height table and parked there while Vetra fetched food. When it returned, it placed a tray in front of him with a triumphant flourish. Marcus stared at the tray. A pile of shimmering blue cubes jiggled slightly with every breath he took. "What's this?" "Nutri-Gel," Vetra said proudly. "Formulated to meet your caloric needs." Marcus poked a cube with his fork. It wobbled menacingly. "Vetra," he said, "this looks like something scraped off the bottom of a reactor. It is highly efficient." "Yeah, well, so is diesel fuel. Doesn't mean I want it for lunch." Vetra shifted colors briefly, a sign Marcus had learned meant confusion or distress. He relented with a sigh and picked up a cube, biting into it. The texture was like biting through a water balloon filled with cold mashed potatoes. He chewed grimly. Vetra watched him expectantly. "It's something," Marcus said diplomatically. Vetra's tendrils brightened. "Excellent. I shall replicate additional servings for your evening meal." Marcus suppressed a groan. Later that evening, back in his room, he lay stretched out on the bed, leg elevated, trying to will away the lingering nausea from lunch. The door chimed softly. "Come in," he called. The door slid open, revealing a squat, broad alien with mottled green skin and a smell that suggested wet stone after rain. Marcus recognized him vaguely as a member of the station's engineering corps. "I am Grevik," the alien said. "I was informed you required assistance." Marcus blinked. "Assistance with what?" "Your ambulatory device," Grevik said, tapping the side of the wheelchair with a heavy, clawed finger. "It is inefficient." Marcus sat up straighter. "Inefficient how?" Grevik lumbered into the room, examining the chair from all angles. "Insufficient stabilization. Poor propulsion dynamics. Primitive material composition." "It's a wheelchair," Marcus said. "It's designed to be simple." Grevik grunted. "Simplicity is a crutch for the unimaginative." Before Marcus could object, Grevik pulled a toolkit from a pouch at his waist and began dismantling parts of the chair with alarming speed. Wait, Marcus said. "Maybe we should—" "There is no need for fear," Grevik said. "I have constructed battle frames for combat quadrupeds. This will be trivial." Marcus watched helplessly as pieces of his chair were spread across the floor. Vetra appeared in the doorway, tendrils twitching with what Marcus now recognized as alarm. "Is this authorized?" Vetra asked. "Nope," Marcus said. "But I think we're past the point of no return." Vetra floated inside, circling the scene like a nervous satellite. Grevik worked quickly, bolting strange additions onto the chair's frame. He attached small stabilizers to the wheels and a propulsion unit to the back that looked suspiciously like a repurposed vacuum motor. Marcus pinched the bridge of his nose. "I'm gonna die in this thing." "Nonsense," Grevik said, tightening the last bolt. "It is now equipped for optimal terrestrial locomotion. Observe." Before Marcus could protest, Grevik tapped a control panel on the armrest. The chair shot forward with a loud whir, nearly slamming him into the opposite wall. He yanked the handbrakes instinctively, heart pounding. "See," Grevik said proudly. Efficiency increased by 400%. Marcus sat frozen, fingers locked on the brakes. Vetra floated closer, peering at the modified chair. "It appears functional." "Functional like a missile," Marcus muttered. Grevik beamed, or at least Marcus thought he did. It was hard to tell with the heavy brow ridges. "You are welcome," Grevik said, gathering his tools. Marcus exhaled slowly. "Thanks, I think." After Grevik lumbered out, Vetra hovered silently for a moment. "I will requisition additional padding for the walls," it said. Marcus laughed, a genuine, full-bellied laugh he hadn't realized he needed. "Good plan," he said. "And maybe a helmet." That night, as he struggled to find a comfortable position against the rigid cast, the propulsion unit hummed faintly from the corner where he had parked the chair. Marcus stared at the ceiling, thinking about the absurdity of it all: the blood, the broken bone, the frozen medic, the jet-powered wheelchair. He was stranded on a station full of aliens, half-crippled, with nothing but stubbornness and a questionable sense of humor to get him through. And somehow, he figured he was going to be just fine. 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in the rehabilitation courtyard, the station's attempt at simulating an outdoor environment. The dome overhead projected a soft blue sky dotted with wisps of cloud, and a warm, dry breeze drifted from concealed vents. It wasn't Earth, but it was close enough to make him miss it fiercely. He adjusted the elevated leg rest on his modified wheelchair, careful not to trigger the propulsion module Grevik had attached. It had taken 3 near-miss collisions and a stern warning from the station director before Marcus convinced Grevik to install a manual throttle. Now, at least, he could approach a wall without becoming part of it. Vetra hovered nearby, holding a tablet loaded with today's schedule. Its tendrils moved in slow, deliberate patterns, a sign Marcus learned meant it was trying to be professional. "You have completed 70% of your mobility benchmarks," Vetra said, not looking up from the screen. "Recovery trajectory is above projected norms." Marcus tossed a small ball up and down in his hands, working on regaining fine motor control. "What can I say? Humans heal ugly, but we heal fast." Vetra tilted slightly. "Ugly?" Marcus held up his leg, where the skin around the surgical site was still a lurid patchwork of bruises and swelling. "This isn't exactly pretty." Vetra leaned closer, inspecting the discoloration with clinical interest. "Tissue remodeling is occurring efficiently. Visual aesthetics are irrelevant to functional restoration. Try telling that to people back home," Marcus said. He bounced the ball a little higher, misjudged the catch, and watched it roll toward a group of aliens gathered near the walking track. A tall, willowy creature with greenish feathers stooped and picked it up. It approached, extending the ball with a hand that resembled a bundle of vines. Marcus caught the ball and nodded. "Thanks." The alien clicked its beak once, a bright, cheerful sound, then returned to its companions. Vetra watched the exchange carefully. "You continue to display interspecies rapport despite your injury." "Better than sitting around feeling sorry for myself," Marcus said. He twirled the ball in his fingers. "Besides, if I'm going to be stuck here, might as well get along." Vetra shifted into a lighter shade of blue, indicating approval. "Adaptability remains your species' defining trait." "That, and poor impulse control," Marcus said, grinning as he tossed the ball again. Before Vetra could respond, a squat orange alien in a maintenance uniform hurried over, waving a datapad. "Human Penley," it said, breathless. "We require your assistance." Marcus blinked. "Mine? I'm kind of on medical leave." "It is not heavy labor," the alien said quickly. "We have a malfunctioning pressure regulator in the greenhouse. Diagnostics indicate human physiology is better suited to the environment conditions present." Marcus dropped the ball into his lap. "Let me guess. It's too hot, too humid, and smells like a gym locker." "Affirmative." He looked at Vetra, who gave a non-committal ripple of color. Marcus shrugged. "Sure. Beats another hour of shoulder rehab." He followed the maintenance worker at a cautious speed, Vetra gliding alongside. They entered a side corridor that sloped gently downward, the walls pulsing faintly with embedded guidance lights. The greenhouse door loomed ahead, a massive slab of metal with warning placards in 5 languages. The maintenance alien tapped a code into the panel, and warm, wet air hit Marcus in the face like a slap. Inside, the greenhouse was chaos. Plants twisted up toward the ceiling in wild profusion, some with leaves as wide as Marcus's torso, others with tendrils that writhed slowly in unseen currents. The humidity was stifling, making his shirt cling to his back instantly. "Regulator is there," the maintenance workers said, pointing to a console half buried under a wall of thick, rubbery vines. Marcus rolled closer, eyeing the mess. "You guys ever heard of pruning?" "These specimens are essential," the alien said primly. "Each performs critical atmospheric functions." Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. "All right, let's see what we're dealing with." He popped the side panel off the console and peered inside. The regulator's indicator lights were dark, and a faint burnt smell wafted out. "Fried circuit board," he muttered. Probably moisture got past the seals. He rummaged in the side pouch of his chair, pulling out a multi-tool one of the human engineers had given him as a get-well-soon present. Carefully, he began disconnecting the damaged board. Vetra hovered close, observing silently. Its tendrils twitched now and then, but it made no move to interfere. "You know," Marcus said as he worked, "if humans hadn't figured out how to fix stuff with half the proper tools, we'd have never made it off our own planet." Vetra hummed thoughtfully. Your technological improvisation is well documented. It is both revered and feared among allied species. Marcus chuckled. Yeah, I guess duct tape and stubbornness don't inspire universal confidence. He pulled the fried board free, setting it aside carefully. Got a spare? He asked the maintenance worker. The alien handed him a sealed package. Marcus tore it open, slotting the new board into place with nimble fingers. He sealed the panel, wiped his hands on his pants, and pressed the reboot button. The regulator hummed to life. Cool, dry air began to bleed into the greenhouse, and the writhing plants stilled slightly, their tendrils drooping. The maintenance worker let out a warbling sound Marcus assumed was relief. Functionality restored. Vetra confirmed after a moment of checking the readings. Marcus leaned back in his chair, feeling the damp fabric stick uncomfortably. Glad I could help. Now, can someone get me a towel the size of a bedsheet? Later that evening, after a long shower and a half-hearted dinner of something vaguely resembling pasta, Marcus wheeled himself to the observation deck. It was quieter than usual, just a few scattered figures gazing out at the stars. Vetra hovered nearby, silent for once. Marcus stared out at the endless black, pinpricked with light. Somewhere out there, Earth spun on, utterly unaware that one of its suns had spent his afternoon fixing alien greenhouses while dripping sweat onto alien soil. You know, Marcus said eventually, I used to think space was all sleek ships and heroic speeches. Vetra turned slightly, sensing he wasn't finished. But it's mostly fixing broken gadgets, eating weird food, and trying not to crash into walls, he said. Vetra's tendrils shifted in a slow, looping pattern that Marcus had learned meant amusement. Your expectations were inaccurate, Vetra said. Yeah, Marcus said. But I think I like it better this way. They sat there a long while, watching the stars creep slowly across the artificial sky. Marcus flexed his fingers, feeling the stiffness lessen with each stretch. His legs still ached, and his muscles still protested every push of the wheels, but he was healing. Not just the bone, but everything else too. Eventually, Vetra floated a little closer. I have acquired a new text, it said. A compilation of human idiomatic expressions. Would you assist me in deciphering them? Marcus grinned. Only if you promise not to take anything literally. Vetra pulsed a soft, curious grin. I accept those terms, it said. As the stars wheeled on above them, Marcus leaned back in his chair and prepared to explain why kick the bucket had nothing to do with actual buckets, and why break a leg was, somehow, a wish for good luck. And in that strange place, light years from home, surrounded by beings who barely understood him, Marcus realized he had never felt more grounded.